What's up, my beautiful bros? Maine-iac here. Week 8 NFL Power Rankings. Not too much movement this week, and yes, it's a little different. I'm on a different screen right now, but I wanted to show you something. Something that's interesting, because if you play Madden, you know these exhibition games that you can pick, I guess matchups of the week, I guess you could call them, or something like that, where you could play these spotlight games. Yeah, I guess spotlight games work. And you look at these descriptions and it's like Philip Rivers having a great season. But then you look at the Cowboys Redskins. This is why I wanted to mention this, is because this is freaking hilarious. Both the Redskins and the Cowboys are unable to win 2 games in a row. Will the NFC East rivalry game end in a tie? It's basically making fun of the Cowboys and Redskins for not being able to win back to back, which is absolutely hilarious. And that brings up another fun fact for the Redskins that I was watching during the game this week, and the fact that dating back to, I believe, 54 games, or 57 games back, they're like 28, 28, and 1, which to be in the span of like 57 games, and you have a 500 record, that is absolutely incredibly consistent. And you know me, I love consistency. Because consistency is key in football for me. I don't care, like I always say, I don't care if my team loses. I just hate when you lose because of a boneheaded play. And I might mention a little bit of that during the power rankings this week, but let's get into it. If you are new to this series, on the left we have the biggest gainer, on the right we have the biggest loser for the week. There's actually a type of biggest loser, and I'll go on and explain that when I get to it, because there are news that does involve this, but it didn't have any reflection on these power rankings because I did this. Well, I really had the base of this power rankings already done before the news broke. Plus, I don't know, haven't seen the actual on-field impact yet, so I can't really justify acting like it has an impact just in case it doesn't, because it might have a huge impact, might not. Anyway, let's get into it. We have the Cardinals at number 32. Patrick Peterson wants out. Wilkes says they won't trade him, but if I'm the Cardinals, you have a solid-looking young quarterback in Josh Rosen. You have a relatively young quarterback with David Johnson, young wide receiver with Christian Kirk. I would try to get maybe a first and a fifth, or a first and a fourth. Get some more young talent for that offense and defense. Fitzgerald is near the end of his ropes, as sad as that is to see, because he's been around basically since I started watching football, or at least it feels that way. But get some more solid pieces, improve the offensive line. Getting a first and a third, or first and fourth, or something like that for Patrick Peterson could be extremely beneficial, because that offensive line is absolutely terrible. Josh Rosen and David Johnson can't do anything behind that line. So that's going to be interesting. The reason why I spent a lot of time talking about this is because that's going to be interesting to see exactly how that affect, because it's in the upcoming week. It's going to be interesting to see how that works. And you have the Raiders moving down to 31, dropping one spot because they traded Amari Cooper away to the Dallas Cowboys for a first-round pick. It's obvious. I don't know if they're necessarily tanking this year, but it's obvious they're trying to rebuild, so honorary. Then you have the 49ers gaining one spot due to the Raiders. Absolute terrible game against the Rams. They had moments where they looked okay, but Bethard was Bethard, and the Rams were the Rams. It's kind of what you would expect when you see a number 1 team face like a bottom 3 team in the league. So, not much more. Then you have the Bills dropping 2 spots to number 29. Very tough game for them this week. Fun fact is, Scorigami, a Twitter account I follow, actually said this was like the 1038th unique score in NFL history, or something like that, which is absolutely incredible. Bills scored 5 points. That offense looks sad. So do they go into full rebuild mode and trade away LaShawn McCoy? That would be interesting to see in the upcoming week. Then you have the New York Giants moving up a spot to 28 via the Bills losing. They had an okay game. They did lose to the Falcons. They couldn't exploit the holes in the Falcons' defense, which is absolutely terrible. Saquon Barkley had awful play calls for him. hit Matt at the line behind the line of scrimmage way too often for really any running back to overcome. Odell had a good game, but Eli is done. If I was Eli Manning, I would retire right now. Just be like, I am done, because his record's getting a lot worse over these last 2 years. But I was impressed by the return of Olivier Vernon. It looked like it sparked that defensive pass rush a little bit, which might be what they need to get into a little bit more of a game flow. Could be important. Then you have the Colts moving up a spot to number 27 via the beatdown of the Bills. Only 2 wins this year. Not really against substantial opponents, but Andrew Luck coming off of an injury where he's been gone for so long. Sometimes for a quarterback, it takes a while to get that rhythm back, because your shoulder throwing like that so many times a week, sometimes muscle memory just kicks in at a certain point. I think he's doing well. The return of T.Y. Hilton, instant impact on that offense. He didn't have like a tremendous game, but you could see that his return helped. Marlon Mack, great game at running back. I'm glad I picked him up in fantasy, but I made a dumb move and didn't play him this week. And then you have the Browns dropping 3 spots to number 26, a team that could very well actually start dropping even further. Baker Mayfield looks lost. That team just looks bad. Game-winning field goal by the Bucks in overtime because the Browns couldn't capitalize on anything. Not much else to say here. They did trade away Carlos Hyde to the Jaguars, so you do lose that veteran presence in the running back field. So you have a rookie in Chubb, you have a rookie in Baker Mayfield, you have a second-year player in Njoku, and Antonio Callaway as like your major offensive weapons, and they're all really young. Luckily, you have Duke Johnson and Travis Landry there, but it's going to take some time for this offense to click, and that defense, meanwhile, is probably going to be fighting to keep them in games. The defense has been performing admirably over the last few weeks, so hopefully they start winning a little bit more. Then you have the Jets at number 25 staying even. Not much else to say here. It was an okay game. They faced the Vikings, which is a tough team. Sam Darnold did not play so well in the first half, but like I said, against one of the top defenses in the league as a rookie with limited weapons, he played okay. In the second half, he did turn around a little bit. He keeps improving every week, from what I see from watching him. This Jets team does have promise. And you have the Bucks gaining 2 spots to number 24, leapfrogging the Jets and Browns. They looked more cohesive. I guess you could say that. They looked to gel a little bit better. The offense did okay, not great. The defense looked okay, not great. Mind you, this is against the Browns, so it's hard to get a scope. But in saying that, the Browns defense isn't necessarily a complete pushover. Yeah, the Chargers absolutely demolished them, but this is a Bucks offense who sometimes struggles. So to see them have an okay performance against the Browns, it's encouraging. If I'm a Bucks fan, I'm not excited about the future, but I'm positive about what could happen in the next couple years. And then you have the Cowboys at number 23. As I said before, they dropped 3 spots, and they are tied with the Browns for the biggest drop. I mentioned that the trade thing at the beginning because of this. They traded for Amari Cooper, like I said when I did the Raiders, for a first-round pick. So they give up their first-round pick this year, and a team that needs a lot of stuff to give up a first-round pick means this has to benefit them as much as they think it will. If he is just a rental and they do not re-sign him, this is absolutely a horrendous move. But Amari Cooper in that offense, as inconsistent as he's been this year, could benefit. One thing about the Raiders compared to the Cowboys is the Raiders don't have an Ezekiel Elliott. Yes, Marshawn Lynch is beast mode. Yes, he's been great for most of the season, and yes, he's on IR now, I know that. But he's no Ezekiel Elliott. So pairing him with a very capable slot receiver in Cole Beasley and a nice young wide receiver like Gallup, if you could get 3 wide receiver sets of Cooper, Beasley, and Gallup, and Ezekiel Elliott, I think that would lessen the impact of the stacking the box. I think you can't run a heavy box against that kind of wide receiving core, at least not to me, unless Dak Prescott keeps messing up. Ezekiel Elliott, it should open him up a little bit. It should have a good impact. But right now, I have not actually seen the impact. I can't really judge them on that yet. So they do drop this week after a tough loss to the Redskins. And yeah, the Lions getting 2 spots at number 22. Boom, nice win this week. Solid team. Again, bad fantasy football move. I benched Kerryon Johnson this week in favor of T.J. Yeldon, and yeah, that did not work out for me so well. Good offense, solid defense, good game for the Lions overall. Almost had a comeback by the Dolphins, which is nerve-wracking a little bit. And yeah, the Falcons at number 21 beating the Giants. Calvin Ridley looks like legit number 2 receiver. Calvin Ridley looks like a talent that if he wasn't in the same offense as Julio Jones and Mohamed Sanu, he could be a number 1 wide receiver. He looks like you could possibly throw him on the Cowboys or possibly throw him on the Redskins, something like that. He would be an instant number 1. This guy is special. That pass game is going to carry this Falcons team as far as it will go. That run game with Devontae Freeman on IR. Maybe they should bring someone in. Who knows? But that defense, I think the NFL Network said the Keanu Neal should be coming back soon, or it was someone else. I'm not familiar with the defensive player name, so I do apologize if I said the wrong player, but one of them should be coming back soon, helping that defense a little bit. This Falcon team, it's fun to watch with those 3 wide receivers, though. And then you got the Broncos moving up 1 spot. This pass rush is something special. I love Von Miller, Bradley Chubb. It is the combination I thought it would be at the beginning of the year when they drafted Chubb. Case Keenum, on the other hand, looks like a scared chicken. I'm not saying like he's a chicken, like he's a coward, but I raised chickens, and I've seen them scared and running around, and that's kind of what Case Keenum looks like. Demaryius Thomas could be on his way out if the Broncos lose. Could be on his way out if the Broncos deem necessary. They do have a promising young wide receiver that they could pair with Sanders. Thomas's salary compared to his contribution doesn't really match up so well, so maybe they could trade him for a 4th round, 3rd round draft pick. Because it looks like the Broncos aren't necessarily contending this year, but it looks like they could very well contend in the next couple of years, especially with Royce Freeman and Philip Lindsay, one of the better 2-headed monsters in football, considering they're not necessarily on a great team. It's absolutely hilarious. The Seahawks dropping 1 spot. I honestly debated this for a while. The Seahawks were on a bye, and it's hard to judge someone on a bye. But they get the rest they need. Hopefully, they did what they need to do to improve the team. And other than that, there's not much to say. Then you got the Jaguars dropping 2 spots. You know it's bad when Blake Bortles gets benched for Cody Kessler. Kessler didn't necessarily have a bad game. Yes, he threw an interception, but it was on a tip pass. The Jaguars looked a little bit more lively with Kessler in at quarterback, and I mentioned in a video you should be seeing up in the next couple of days that maybe the Jaguars trade for Teddy Bridgewater to the Saints and give up whatever they need to, or maybe they trade for Josh McCown. Blake Bortles is not doing it, man. He had a solid season last year, but he's regressed to old Blake Bortles. Cannot hold on to the football. Cannot be relied upon to get that W. And it's just sad because it's obviously having a devastating impact to that defense. That defense is a shell of what it was. Even at the beginning of the year, that defense had swagger, it had confidence, and now it just has nothing. So they dropped 2 spots. They could drop very much lower if they keep losing. And then you have the Titans at number 17 staying even. A tough loss against the Chargers. But one note is they more necessarily lost due to bold play calling. I'll call it bold play calling by Mike Vrabel. They were down by 1, tried to go for 2 and lost. Their defense controlled the Chargers for most of the game. They had time of possession advantage and everything like that. This Titans team, I know they lost, but I didn't feel like they deserved a drop because they played very, very, very solid football. The offense did struggle, and Marcus Mariota doesn't look like he's improving like he's going to need to make this team a contender, but the defense is really good. And then you have the Dolphins dropping 1 spot. Tough loss for them. Almost came back. Again, they play Thursday Night Football, I believe, against... I can't think of who they face this week for some reason. But they play Thursday Night Football this week. Brock Osweiler is starting yet another game. No Tannehill, which is a concern because after Tannehill missed so long and now he's missed, I believe this would be his third consecutive week, it is very, very, very concerning. Hopefully they get right. The combination of Frank Gore and Kenyon Drake, I love it. I believe Albert Wilson is down for long term. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me in the comment section down below. But I like what Amendola's been contributing to this team so far this year. And yeah, the Bears dropping to 15, dropping 2 spots to number 15. Tough loss to the Patriots. 54-yard Hail Mary when you need 55 yards is just heartbreaking. A lot of things went wrong in that one. You did force some nice turnovers, making Sony Michel fumble and making Cordero Patterson fumble on a return. That set you up in clutch field position. Mitch Trubisky ran the ball well, threw like shit. He threw like absolute shit. His stats might not look so bad, but when you consider that 54 yards came on a last-second Hail Mary, he looked like shit. His legs got him into the game, and it was close, but blocked punt, return for a touchdown was critical. Return for a touchdown in general on special teams was also critical. The Patriots scored 14 points on special teams, or at least you could say 12 points with the extra points thrown in. And without those, you could be literally looking at a 31-24 game or something like that. So special teams is a huge concern. Khalil Mack not being 100% is a huge concern for this team. Mitch Trubisky, we're solely relying on his arm without Khalil Mack on that defense. Doesn't look like it's going to get them the wins that it needs, but his legs do look good, so there is that. And you have the Eagles staying pat at 14. They lost a tough game to the Carolina Panthers, blowing a 17-point lead, largest comeback in Panthers team history, I believe. Carson Wentz made some dumb decisions, but then again, when you see a team blowing a lead, it's mostly everyone's making dumb decisions here. The hole at running back, I believe, is a huge concern here. Maybe a move is needed. I'm not sure. That defense, they had a tough matchup against Cam Newton. I will give them that. They had a tough matchup, control him for most of the game. This team, like I said before earlier in the season, needs to click a little better. If they can click, they may be able to gain at least some resemblance of that Super Bowl form from last year. And then you have the Texans gaining 6 spots. This is why it was controversial for me with everyone else below. Texans gained 6 spots, number 13. They now have a winning record. Deshaun Watson did not play well whatsoever against the Jaguars. He had, I believe, 134 yards and a touchdown. Something like that. Yeah, I decided to start him in fantasy because I'm an idiot. DeAndre Hopkins had a decent game as well. But the reason why they gained so much is the defense is getting very consistent pressure. J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney is being a monster this season. And the fact that Lamar Miller had a 100-yard game, and that if that running game can get going, this Texans team is going to be a very, very dangerous team heading to the future. Then you have the Bengals dropping 3 spots. This team is probably on a plummet. Their offense and defense does not look nearly as consistent as it should be. Some questionable play calling by Marvin Lewis. Probably won't be around at the end of the year, but, at least he doesn't have a 10-year, $100 million guaranteed contract. Joe Mixon, though, been impressed by him, which is good. Then you have the Steelers gaining 1 spot off a bye. This is more of a product of the Bengals losing a spot, getting a week to get right. Maybe Big Ben get some more solid, get some more repetitions with some James Washington. I want to see me some James Washington. And you have the Packers staying even at 10 after a bye as well, I believe. Aaron Rodgers getting healthy is going to be important to this team's success. You have the Patriots coming up soon. You have a tough test this week as well. So this could really determine where this Packers team is going. And you have the Redskins gaining 2 spots. Good win over the Cowboys. Adrian Peterson looked solid. Kabri Bibbs looked solid. The fact that they almost got beat by Dak Prescott's kind of sad, but overall, this run defense and that defensive line with Daron Payne looks incredible. I would not want to be up against this run defense and that defensive line. It is stout. It is a beast. Considering they were facing Ezekiel Elliott, it played very well. And yeah, the Ravens dropping 2 spots to number 8. No, it's not because of the extra point miss first time of Justin Tucker's career, but oh sweet vengeance it is as a Patriots fan when you see a kicker who kicked the ball to the outer edge of the fucking field goal post, and it got called good because they can't review it if it's above. It's kind of sweet justice seeing him miss one. Am I a little sad it cost them the game? Yes, the Ravens played a solid game. The defense played solid. It is hard to contain Drew Brees and an offense, and they played admirably. That's why they only dropped 2 spots, because they did lose, and everyone else above them won. But this offense with the wide receivers and Alex Collins had a tough game, but it does look like this team, if it starts clicking, could win the AFC North and probably maybe have a chance at a top 2 seed. An outside shot at a top 2 seed, but it's possible. Usually when the Ravens win a championship, it's a defense won championship. And you have the Panthers gaining 1 spot. Nice come from behind win over the Falcons. Cam Newton put on his cape, his Superman cape. And that defense actually stepped up at the end. Don't know if it's a product more of the Eagles than the Panthers themselves, but if Cam Newton could lead like this with his MVP form that he had from the 2015 season, I believe, then promising future for the Panthers. Then you have the Vikings at number 6. Good win over the Jets. It is the Jets. Kirk Cousins looks solid. Adam Thielen, I believe, 7 straight games with a 100-yard receiving game. That is absolutely incredible. I don't know if he's on pace to break the single-season record for receiving yards in a season, but it would be so cool if he did, just because that would be momentous for someone who's not viewed really as a top-tier wide receiver still by some people. Some people obviously think he's the best receiver in the league right now, and of course that could be a benefit from the system when you have Diggs literally on the other side. But Thielen's having an incredible season. It is amazing for an undrafted guy to just see him ball out like this. Then you have the Chargers staying pat at number 5, solid win over the Titans. They're going to have to definitely improve some things. But then again, this is a Chargers team who's playing the Titans without Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon is a big part of that offense. And they were, I believe, 0-5 without him over the last few years. So having him back maybe next week and actually having a chance to rest him is super critical. This is one of the teams, possibly one of the, I guess, 3 teams seriously contending for a top 2 spot in the AFC. So it'll be interesting to see where they finish. And it's the most interesting part is they're fighting the Chiefs, with the winner possibly having the number 1 seed and the loser having to play in a wild card game on the road. And you have the Patriots at number 4. Good win over the Bears. A huge concern to me personally that Sony Michel's week to week with a knee injury. When I saw that play, it was absolutely gruesome. I thought he was dead. I'm kidding. Like, I thought his season was over. I thought he tore his ACL, whatever. Ball control is going to have to be worked on. Brady had an okay game. Julian Edelman, Josh Gordon really stepped up. No Gronk had a big impact on this game, but they were benefited by Khalil Mack obviously not being 100%. Special teams really showed up in this one, and that's key. Blocked punt return for a touchdown, a kickoff return for a touchdown, I believe. That's why we traded for Cordell Patterson, so it's nice to see him actually make up for the fumble he had earlier in the game. And the New Orleans Saints, number 3, Drew Brees. Top 3 quarterback in the NFL right now. Personally, in no particular order, my top 3 would be Rodgers, Brees, and Brady, and possibly rounding out the top 5 would be Mahomes and maybe Matt Ryan, just because of the season Matt Ryan's having. Offense looks solid. Kamara struggled, turned the ball over a little bit. Mark Ingram's getting back into game shape, so it looks solid. But Michael Thomas, I wish I drafted you in fantasy. And you have the Chiefs at number 2. Good win for them over the Bengals. Put themselves in even better position for AFC number 1 seed with wins over critical teams like the Bengals, Steelers, and stuff like that. But that loss to the Patriots could still come back to bite them when it comes to seeding. Other than that, I don't see how you stop this team other than just outscoring them, which is hard to do, especially when they start coming back at full strength. I'm still not sure if Justin Houston is 100% or close to coming back, and you got Eric Berry, who's still yet to come back, so this team is dangerous. Could they be on the market to possibly trade for Patrick Peterson? That would be bad for the league if the Chiefs got Peterson. And then at number 1, you have the Rams. Not much else to say. Todd Gurley, absolutely incredible. Personally, as good as Mahomes has been playing, when you have an offense like Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins having a good season, Kareem Hunt at running back, and you just have all those explosive weapons, I'm going to go with Gurley. You have Goff at quarterback, and yes, Goff is good, But right now, Gurley is my MVP just because he is dominating the game, and the Rams go how he goes. Um, Patrick Mahomes could have a bad game, and the Rams and the Chiefs would still do amazing. So value, I just feel like Gurley just is a little bit more valuable than Mahomes right now. Defense is picking back up. Hopefully they get healthy. If so help me God, if they somehow get Patrick Peterson, I'm quitting. I'm done. I'm done with the NFL this year because there's going to be nobody who beats the Rams. But seriously, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comment section down below if you made it this far, which I doubt any of you did. No offense. But let me know who you think will get Patrick Peterson. And if you're watching this after the trade deadline and someone actually did trade for Patrick Peterson, let me know what you thought about it. And maybe we could have a discussion. And we guys, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.